Hi everyone, welcome back to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Lowell Kamin, the CEO of Lodestar Metals Corp, which trades on the TSXV under the symbol LSTR, excuse me. Lowell, great to have you here today.
Thanks, Ben. Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to be here and looking forward to this casual chat about my company.
Yeah, as am I. And so with that, we do have this presentation up. I'll have you walk through the story for us. We can have some discussion throughout, and then at the end we can, I can ask you a couple questions and we can have more of a conversation.
Great. So it's Lowell Kamin. I'm the CEO of Lodestar Metals. I took over Lodestar in June of 2022. We pursued a battery metal strategy, but in May of 2024, we pivoted the company after that didn't work out, which happens in the junior microcap metal and mining business, and started to focus on gold and silver. And one of the places that I wanted to be involved in was Nevada. So we're trying to unlock world-class gold and silver potential in Nevada as a junior exploration company. Here's the forward-looking statement. I don't think we need to worry about that. So basically, why invest in Lodestar? Tier 1 jurisdiction, Nevada, it's world-class. We have drill-ready assets. Our gold run has multiple drill-ready targets with historical drill results surrounded by world-class deposits. We have a disciplined exploration strategy. We need to be very thoughtful about how we move forward, given our capital constraints. And we have a proven track record with a team of very, very highly skilled people, which I'll get into in a minute. So I think one of the things that, Ben, when you and I first met, that we started to talk about was, gold and silver and where we're at in the cycle. And, I think you mentioned right before we started that, gold was making an all-time new high, over 3,700. I was involved in the metals and mining business. My first job at Scotia Capital in 2000 on the desk was working beside Scotia Makata that set the price of gold every day. Gold was below $300, and I still remember when it broke out in 2000 from 300 and went to, the end of 2011 to 1800 before it pulled back. And, one of the things that you and I have talked about is, getting these cycles right, and gold usually leads all commodity cycles higher, with silver to follow behind it. And as you can see in this chart, basically gold was pretty flat all the way to 2023, and then it's been a bit of a moonshot. But some of us in the industry, think about where gold is from an innings perspective. Are we in the first inning? Are we in the second inning? And if you go back and talk to some of the people that I was involved in back in the early 2000s, they would say that we haven't even begun the national anthem. I would say that we've seen the first inning with the beginning of some of the major gold companies start to do extremely well, and eventually companies like Lodestar are going to start to do extremely well. And if you look back in history, these things can go up 40 or 50 times from their lows. I don't know, Ben, do you want to add anything from what you're seeing in the marketplace on that?
Yeah, well, I think, I'm not going to pretend to speculate $10,000 gold and so on, but the trend is in the right direction. And if you can set your company up like it sounds like Lodestar is, and we're going to talk more about Lodestar in a second, you can make multiples on your money. And you can sit in a dark, shady room for a number of years as you lead up to a moment like this. But timing is everything, especially in a market like gold, silver, and precious metals. And so that's where, we've seen a lot of the major producers do very well over the last year, taking part in this upside in gold over the last couple of years by way of this chart here. But that money is starting to trickle down into the developers and then ultimately the explorers. And the explorers are the ones that can be multi-baggers. And so that's where, we have you on today as well as many of our clients, whereby we're looking for those multi-bag opportunities in the exploration space. And timing is everything when it comes to that.
I think that's dead on. I mean, when we in May, when we announced the option agreement with Gold Run, the stock was at a penny and a half. Now I think it's somewhere around five. And I think it can go up 5, 10, 15, 20 times from here with the right exploration work and the results. So, why it is we're in a tier one jurisdiction, 80% of the US gold is produced in Nevada. 5.3% of the world's gold comes from it. There's no question about it. It's a tier one jurisdiction. It's mining friendly with lots and lots of opportunity in things that are yet to be discovered, which gives us that opportunity. One of the things that I really think about is when I'm thinking about investing over a long period of time is people, industry, and timing. So the first thing you want is to get the people right. And I think we're in the right industry, and we talked about the timing. So just talking about the people a little bit, the Gold Run asset comes from Don McDowell and Bill Matlack. Bill Matlack is a historic gold investor back in 2000. I remember him when I was back on the desk in New York. He worked at BMO, and he's done an amazing job acquiring assets with his partner, Don McDowell, and vending them into other companies like Phenom Resources, Timberline Gold, others. It's a long list of what he has. And being involved with them gives us access to other opportunities as well, which we'll discuss later. David Christie. Well, one more thing about Don is it's good to have guys who've been around the industry for 40 years who know Nevada. I mean, he probably knows the Gold Run asset better than anybody. And, he always tells me, he goes, we're going to do all the work to do the modern day technologies in order to get the drill targets. But he knows exactly where he'd like to put some drill rigs today. And that's always a big head start, the old school guys. David Christie, I worked with at Scotia Capital. He was an analyst while I was there from 2003 till 2009. We worked very closely on many other things. When he saw the Gold Run asset and I asked him to get involved with the company, he said to me very simply, it needs a thoughtful, well-planned exploration strategy, and I think we'll be very successful. And here's a guy who was one of the founders of Cisco, sold his company worked for Dundee, sold his company to Alamos. He understands the business and what's going on. He's visited every mine in Nevada, knows the area very well, and it's a real feather in our cap that we were able to get him onto the board. And then Leo Horn, who's our technical director, he's in Perth. I mean, for his young age, he has so many discoveries. He has at least 6 discoveries with resources in Canada, Southeast Asia, Australia. And what's very interesting about Leo is that he worked on one of the assets that I worked on, Tassius. When I first met him, he was one of the people that discovered that redback asset back in the day and worked for the same people that I ended up working with on that asset. So it's interesting how, you come together with people and you develop a really, really good synergies. And it's great to work with Leo. And then we have Axiom Exploration with Ty McKee. And Axiom is in Saskatchewan, and they're a global player in helping define assets. So it's great to have them around as well. Moving on, talking more about Gold Run. Closology is extremely important. So you can see in the bottom left, you can see where the Gold Run project is. You can see where Marigold is. Marigold is just over in the Battle Mountain Trend. Marigold is familiar to me and David Christie because that's Keith MacArthur, and that's Glamis Gold, which became Gold Corp. So we're right in the right area. Turquoise Ridge, Granite Creek, I-80 is around here. I mean, this is exactly where you want to be, and Nevada Gold is near us as well. So this is where you want to be to make a discovery, and so closology is really important. So just to explain Gold Run versus Turquoise Ridge, we're in Nevada, we're in the Getchell Trend, Battle Mountain Trend, high grades, bulk tonnage, Carlin geology style. So, it ticks all the boxes of where you want to be exploring. This is a very, very interesting slide. And this is what makes geologists get excited. So they start seeing 12.6 grams. They start seeing, previous drill holes. They start seeing, a historic non-compliant resource. and they start seeing targets, and they start seeing areas that are circled where they start seeing areas that circled where you want to do more work. And when the geologists get on site and they travel around it, they get even more excited. So there's not much more to say about this than there was 131 drill holes, totaling 17.8 meters of drilling. Many holes are shallow, which means that there's a lot of open at depth, and historical IP and geography and geophysics, and we're going to be doing more of that. So lots of good intercepts. Um, I don't know, Ben, is this a time for you to kind of talk about what got you excited when you looked at this project and some of these numbers, since you do have that background?
Yeah, yeah. Well, mining engineer by trade, lol. But I do know my way around these exploration companies a little bit. And like you said, you're not starting from a greenfield project. There's 131 drill holes, which is quite substantial, roughly 18,000 meters of drilling, and some highlight holes that I'm surprised didn't get further investigated, quite frankly, at that time, which you can see here on this slide. 18 meters at 4 grams per ton is quite substantial, and I imagine you guys will look to follow up on that. Um, but quite frankly, I think it's with a story like this, all this work is here and done, and now it's about proving what's to come with a new revised sort of exploration campaign, which we'll talk about in a minute. But ultimately there's enough there that um, an investor looking into an early stage exploration project with all of the different things you just mentioned, um, like you said, the people, the industry, the timing, but then a brownfields project with all this work that's already been done um, in, quite frankly, probably the best mining jurisdiction in the world, with a metal that is, and even possibly a byproduct metal and silver that are both surging as of late. So, with all that said, yes, you're looking at, I think you guys are around a 2.5, 3 million market cap. There's a ton of upside here if you guys are able to hone in on a significant discovery.
Yeah, and the important thing to remember is we can twin some of these holes in order to develop the resource, and then what you do is you try and find some juicy step outs where you can get some good results and news. And Leo and Ty and Don and David are very confident that they're going to be able to do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be involved. So, and Robert's knob is what really got them excited, and where a lot of the historic non-compliant resource comes from. But I can only tell you that when Don and Ty and Leo were on the property together, they were sending me pictures that were just outstanding of showing systems right at surface. Moving on, so systematic strategy, we need to apply modern day exploration. That's something that we've been doing. We need to put together an RC drill program, which is something that we're working on. We need to do follow-up drilling, define a resource, and then strategically expand. So that's our plan. In May, when we announced the option agreement, that's brought us to 1 to 3 months. We're now in the 3 to 9 month period, and we are hoping to start in the Q4 of this year a really good early stage drill program and some more IP work on the Roberts Knob area in order to define the drill targets. We have 5 really good drill targets right now, but we're hoping to double that in the very near term. The last thing I just want to talk about is optionality. So not only does Gold Run have gold, but it also has silver. But as I mentioned earlier, with our relationship with Don and Bill, they have lots and lots of other opportunities for us to get involved in Nevada. And you can see where the Gold Run project is, and then you can see where Eureka is, and they have several projects in the Eureka area that we're looking at, and that Leo has sent a very experienced geologist down to see it with Don, and we're now working towards acquiring another silver asset there. And we've got samples coming. We're in discussions with them about an option agreement, and time will tell what we can do, but I'm very, very positive that we'll be able to do a deal, and we'll be able to have two projects in this company, one in gold and one in silver, that both have the upside potential to take advantage of the upside in the commodity prices as they're breaking out. Just to talk a little bit about the capital structure, 47 million shares outstanding. It's a very tight capital structure. 2 million of warrants, 3.75 million of options. So not, I wouldn't say as tight as it could be, but definitely in a very, very strong position. And then if you look at the comps, Agilent, which is now A2 Gold, you've mentioned that to me, Ben. They've got Kinross backing in it. They've just recently did a $10 million financing. The stock went up on the news. Westward Gold is another one that Bill and Don talk about. But you can see that our valuation relative to them on a per hectare basis is extremely low. So just based on that and what we have today, we're trading at a discount. And once we start providing more news results from the drill program and from the IP and from the soil samples we have that are coming out, that we're going to be able to do another operational update very, very shortly. We just put out a very, very strong one recently, and we're going to put out another one in the next little bit. And that's going to talk a little more about the soils that we've done and the IP, which should expand out the valuation of this company. So just to summarize, Tier 1 jurisdiction, drill-ready assets, disciplined exploration strategy, and a proven team. And I don't know, I'm pretty excited about the prospects of what's going on with this
Mm-hmm.
company. And I think it's got a huge opportunity for upside to make not only myself money, but the investors alongside me.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you walking us through that. And you do paint a good picture for an early exploration company. You're checking a lot of boxes. And now it's about, doing the work and hitting the ground with some drill bits. And so just on that, I know you mentioned it just a couple slides ago, but in terms of this fall's exploration campaign, I understand the last few months have sort of been data reconciliation, deriving targets, and then this fall in Q4, you're going to have a relatively small drill program to sort of hone in on some of those top priority targets.
Yeah, so Leo, Leo, David, and Don and Ty have all been, actively discussing what to do next. And the first thing they want to do is they want to get the soil samples in, which we've got some indications in that are very, very positive. Plus, we've got some Roberts Knob IP that's coming that also looks very positive, not all of it. And then they want us to do a $700,000 Q4 program, $100,000 on 25-meter line spacing on Roberts Knob, and then $600,000 of drill Canadian. So we should be able to produce some very, very good news results based on the targets that they have, the IP, the soils, and Don's historic knowledge of the property. Can't stress enough how much having somebody who's been in Nevada for 40 plus years, knows the land, has walked the land, and can feel where stuff is important, especially when you're doing a drill program. And I've really been pushing Leo to get on a plane and come to Nevada to be part of it because I want him to see the success of it. I mean, if you go back to, we must have looked at 7 or 8 projects, most of them in Nevada, before Leo got excited about this. And I still remember the day that he sent me the email. He goes, I mean, he's Aussie, so he goes, I think this one's worth a crack.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's been excited about it ever since. And then when we were doing the due diligence on it and we signed the LOI, he got on a plane from Perth and came to Nevada to walk the soils with Don. And then he sent one of his most trusted friends to go look at Gold Run again just recently and look at the 2 silver projects that we're looking at right now. You get excited when your geologists get excited. I remember back in the day when I was on the desk, and David Christie would get excited about Kinross, or you get excited about Agnico Eagle, And he'd come to the morning meeting and he'd talk about those results and he'd pound the table, and you could just see it in his eyes that you just needed to go out to your clients and talk about it. And I still remember when I showed him Gold Run, and like he called me back right away. He goes, "Lowell, this is right beside Marigold." I go, "I know." He goes, "I've been there. I think I've been to that property. I think I've walked that." Right? He's like, "Nevada Gold is just above it." And like, "I think I've been
Hmm.
on this property. I've heard about this." He goes, "I remember it with when Cambior had it." Like he's like he wouldn't be involved if he didn't believe it. And like Leo gets excited and
Right.
Ty gets excited and Ty's boss gets excited. Whenever I show Gold Run to anybody, they're kind of like, "Really? How did you get this?" You know? And we got
Well,
it because the one of the major investors in the company introduced us to Don and Bill. And his his goal was, he goes, "If you can get along with these guys, there's going to be lots of opportunity for you to get lots of projects from them, and you just need to figure it out." And that's my skill set. My skill set is figuring out people. I've been doing relationship management and capital markets for 30 years, and the more I see other people getting excited about it, the more I get excited about it.
hmm
Even when I
hmm
met you and showed it to you, you got excited about it. You were like, "This looks like a junior Agilent, which is now A2 Gold." And I started to look at it. I'd been looking at West Gold, and you're like, "No, no, 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 no." And then when you put together the comp table, and I saw that Westvault was there, and I was like, "Oh my God, Peter Palmetto!" Like, you're talking about some of the Paul Rollinson, Peter Palmetto, like Kinross and Sun Valley Gold. Like when I was talking about Tassiest and Redback, I mean, I did that deal with Paul Rollinson, and he's right in the area. So I
hmm
still remember the day that he brought me into the room to tell me that we were working on it. Like, we are in the we back to people. We have the right people around us and the right trend, and I really, really strongly believe something good's going to happen.
Great. Well, no, we to hear the confidence as well as, backing that up with everything you just mentioned. I guess just on the program this fall, going back, do you guys have a cash balance to fund everything you just went through?
That's a really, really good question, and we are actively in discussion with our advisors of what to do there. So, we're definitely going to need to raise some money. I think we have about $300,000 of cash in now, which is what you need in working capital to run these companies, right? Like,
Hmm.
once you have you pay your geologist, you pay your CEO, you pay your accountant, you pay for your audit, you pay your fees. It costs you between, call it $250,000 a year to run a company. So you really don't want your company to fall. Any junior that you look at, if they're running below $300,000, that's not usually a very good sign, because they need to go raise capital. So yeah,
Yep.
we need to raise $1 million as a bridge round to a larger round. So,
Yep.
the guys think that they want $700,000. We want to raise the other $300,000 in working capital. So we have 1 year's working capital on the books, and we have what the program is that we need to do. And once we prove that out, and the share price reflects all that stuff, then we can worry about what the next drill program will look like, what early next year. But yeah,
Right.
these companies need to be fed capital. That's what it's like. And one of the things that I've noticed recently is that companies, when like ours, when they're announcing capital raises, are actually going up in value, not down.
Yeah. Well, and that's, the market that we're in. It was a little bit different, yeah, honestly, this time last year, but even a couple years ago as well. And I think that makes sense in terms of the size of the raise. It's sort of stepping stones for a company your size. You don't want to dilute shareholders too much, but you also need to push these projects forward. Um, and so that's where this fall program, the soil sampling followed by the drilling, will be sort of key in having some catalysts for investors to get excited about. And then, ideally you're taking one step forward where maybe you are able to raise a little bit more next year, expand that drill campaign, and then ultimately um, grow from there, by way of much of what we just discussed. And so, well, maybe what I can do just quickly is sort of summarize everything we just discussed. I took some notes, but in terms of checking boxes, people, industry, and timing, it sounds like you've got those three in the bag right now, which obviously is great, especially for a company of your size. brownfield exploration project. So you're not starting from scratch. There's been a lot of work done that your geologists, I imagine, have sifted through and are continuing to sift through. Beyond that, uh, brownfield exploration project in Nevada, um, arguably one of the best, well, the best state in the U.S., but arguably one of the best jurisdictions in the world from a gold exploration and gold production standpoint. Closeology, the Getchell, Battle Mountain Trend. There's many very large operating mines within the jurisdiction, and then the cap structure, it's pretty clean. Um, Minimal warrants, minimal options, which is, really what you want when you're looking for a 2x, a 3x, a 4x, and beyond. Nothing really holding the stock down. So yeah, from all that, was there anything that I missed?
Well, the optionality on silver,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
both in the gold run and with the agreement that we signed with Don and Bill to take a look at some of their silver assets in the Eureka area. So I think that that's once we get moving, that'll even be more fuel for the fire of the company as we expand. And it was very important to me to make sure before we did this interview that I could let investors know that we weren't just going to be a one asset company. We were looking to expand into other assets, and we have the people to be able to do that, the experience, and we have the capital raising abilities to do all that on the team. So I'm not really concerned
Yep.
about raising the capital. The other thing I would just like to say is, Alyssa Berry at Alliance Advisors introduced me to yourself and to your partner, Nick. And I've been at this for 30 plus years. And it's always great to meet, young, thoughtful people in the industry who are doing a great job. And I continue to get positive feedback about what you're doing. And I really enjoy reading your research, your theme pieces, what's going on. I think you and Nick are building a really, really solid business, and it's, Lodestar, and my personal pleasure to have met you guys and to work with you guys. And I look forward to not only this company report, but getting our business to a point where you guys can follow us more closely,
Mm-hmm.
and being there where this is a great long-term relationship for us, for this company.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. And yeah, look, we're growing. We will be able to get this video into hopefully the hands of some investors that are interested in this type of story. And with that, actually, I will mention, combined with this interview, we've published a company spotlight report on Lodestar. So investors that are watching this video, you can get a bit deeper of a dive into the story by way of our research at atriumresearch.ca. Lowell mentioned the comp sheet that we put together, so you are able to see how Lodestar stacks up compared to some Nevada-based exploration peers, and sort of where the upside can come from for these exploration companies in that state. So with that, Lowell, I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through the story. We're excited to follow along this fall as you do start to execute and put some money into the ground. And again, thanks for your time today.
Great. Ben, have a great day.